see, there's a whole reason behind that triple evac and that deep evacuation. I don't want any moisture, I don't want any non-condensables, and it can actually help me leak check. Here's one thing to remember, guys. If there's trash in the system, which we hope there's not, but if there's trash in the system and it's sitting inside of there and there's a hole right here coming out of that line, and that trash comes up against that hole because I have pressure inside, is it going to leak out? Most likely not, but if it did, it would be very slow because I've got it stopped up. But what if I put it in a vacuum and this thing falls away? Now I'm going to find that hole that I didn't find with the pressure. Now, if I repressurize it to find the leak, most likely that thing's not going to fall right back in the same hole. Does that make sense to everybody? Sometimes you can have a leak one way, but not another. The factory will tell you, when you do the triple evac, put these caps back on, okay? They will guarantee that these valves off will hold pressure. They will not hold a vacuum. So they're telling me that as long as the pressure's pushing out, it'll hold. If you got pressure trying to get in, it may not. But that would be the smart thing to do anyway.
Is there a reason why you would do a triple evac instead of a deep?
Well, you would actually, to get the deep, in my opinion, you have to do a triple. Because every time you evacuate it, every time you flush it, it's going to pull it down a little bit deeper. Okay? Now, one thing let me show y'all about these. Goodman has changed it and they now have a seal inside of these. If you work on one of the old ones, right down in here on the cap, you're going to notice that it's got a little ridge that runs all the way around it. And the reason they did that on the old ones is the top of these on the old ones didn't look quite like this. And it had it to where that little ridge on the inside was the male part and the valve was the female part. And when you screwed it down, they would come together and that in itself would seal it metal to metal. If you walk up on one of those old ones, do not over tighten the cap. If you do, what it'll do is push on that ridge and it'll blow the whole top out of this. If you blow the top out of this, now you don't even have a cap to put back on it unless you got some in the truck. So just be real careful. Well, not until you open it back up and if refrigerant's coming out, but this should hold it. But that's like the cap. Okay? I've seen guys that wouldn't put the caps back on. And they're like, well, it has a Schrader core in it, and the Schrader core has its own seal. Okay, a Schrader core's never leaked. So the cap is like there for insurance, right?
Not only that, you're going to get dirt stuff in that, and then when you put hoses on, it's going to get...
Exactly. And you really don't want to leave these open if it's raining or if you wash the condenser, because then you end up getting water down in here, and it's harder to get that back out. Okay? Because they just have a Teflon seal. All right, so now at this point, what we would do is we would come over here, we would unscrew this. Now you'll notice there's a couple of screws missing. Don't do what I did when I was a young buck way back and start unscrewing this and go, wow, this is long-winded. And the next thing you know, you look inside, you realize you've taken all of those cap tubes and just twisted them all to pieces because the whole thing was turning. So you may have to get on the back side with another wrench, you know, and do, I did that, man. I just took those cap tubes and just wound them all up. And well, we had to replace it. So, but don't do that. Watch, be mindful of that thing not moving. All that is just a cap that they put over on the inside. And then when you put the screws on it, it draws it up. But it's just like anything else. It can sit there and slip underneath that cap.
Where's your port that you would do the evac on?
You would only do it on these. You see this middle port right here? That's what we call a common suction port. And if you were to look down inside of here, you would see a cap tube about the size of a number 2 pencil, maybe a little bit smaller, and it goes straight back up by the compressor on the suction line. It is always suction. It's never high pressure. That's the only way you can charge in the heat mode. You only have 3 choices actually in the heat mode. Weigh the charge in with it not running. You've done a deep vacuum and you turn the bottle upside down unless it has a dip tube and you weigh the refrigerant in. The second way that you would do it would be to actually put it in the AC mode. But if you put it in the AC mode and it's wintertime, I'm going to have a low outdoor. I can't really set superheater subcooling because the outdoor temperatures are too low, and the chart's not gonna let me do it. Anything, some are 60, some are 65, okay? You'll have to go by whatever the manufacturer tells you. Or, what you can do is you can charge it through